We've all heard it. Maybe you've even tried it yourself. Drink more water if you want to lose weight. And there's often that specific add-on, right? Drink a full glass of water before every single meal. It sounds so simple, almost too simple. But does this advice, which is everywhere, actually work when you look at the science? So today we're doing a deep dive into this really common recommendation. Our mission basically is to cut through the assumptions, look at the different ideas behind why water might help with weight loss, and most importantly, see what the actual evidence says. We're leaning on a great recent Harvard Health article by Dr. Robert H. Schmerling. We want to go beyond just what feels right, to find out what really holds water scientifically.
Yeah, it's a great topic because it's just so pervasive. Everyone talks about it. And Dr. Schmerling's piece is perfect for this. He's a senior faculty editor at Harvard Health Publishing, faculty at Harvard Medical School. So it gives us a really solid evidence-based place to start. Helps us separate, hope from actual fact.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The first idea, and honestly, the one that seems the most intuitive, is about feeling full. The basic idea is fill your stomach with water, 0 calories, right? Your brain gets the signal sooner, hey, we're full, and you just stop eating earlier. It's that classic buffet strategy, isn't it? Drink water first so you don't go crazy. Have you ever done that?
Oh, absolutely. It makes perfect sense on the surface. And what's interesting here is this feel full, eat less idea does have some backing, at least in some smaller short-term studies. The article mentions one with older adults, the ones who drank water before meals. They consistently ate less than those who didn't.
Okay, so there's something there.
There is. And there's another study, too, quite telling. People on a low-calorie diet who added extra water before meals. They reported feeling less hungry, and over 12 weeks, they actually lost more weight.
12 weeks. Okay, so that's a bit longer. It sounds like it works at least for a while. That immediate feeling of fullness must be real.
Exactly. The short-term effect seems pretty clear. But, and this is the really crucial point Dr. Schmerling makes, neither of those studies looked at the impact on long-term weight loss.
Ah.
And that distinction is huge, right? Because what helps you cut calories at one meal, or even over a few weeks, doesn't necessarily mean sustainable weight loss over months or years. Our bodies adapt, our habits creep back in.
That's a really important point. Sustainability is everything in weight management. Okay, let's shift gears. The next theory. This one always felt a bit like, I don't know, a neat trick. The idea that drinking water actually makes you burn more calories. Is that the thermogenesis thing? Where your body has to expend energy just to heat the water up to body temperature?
Ah, yes, thermogenesis, that's the one. The body produces heat, and the thinking goes, drinking cold water forces it to work harder, burn a few extra calories.
Yeah, I remember thinking, my body's got to work to warm that up.
It's a cool physiological process, and some older studies did seem to suggest a tiny calorie burn. Really small, though. But, and this is key, more recent, better studies found no real evidence that drinking water burns off any significant amount of calories.
Oh, really?
Yeah, certainly not enough to make a difference for weight loss. The energy used is just minimal.
Huh. So that theory is pretty much debunked by the newer science.
It seems that way. As a weight loss strategy on its own, it really doesn't hold water, so to speak.
Wow, okay. Good to know. What about the idea that we sometimes mix up thirst and hunger signals?
Yeah.
You feel a craving, you think you need food, but maybe you're just thirsty. So the advice is drink water first. If you're still hungry later, then eat. Avoids unnecessary calories.
That is another very common piece of advice, absolutely. And if you think about how our bodies work, regulating hunger and thirst, it's complex. It can change over your lifespan, too. Like, older adults sometimes have a weaker thirst signal, making dehydration riskier. But despite how much sense it seems to make that we might just confuse the two, Dr. Schmerling's article reports no convincing human studies backing this up.
No studies? That's surprising.
Well, no convincing ones showing that people regularly misinterpret thirst for hunger in a way that drives weight gain, or that drinking water solves this confusion.
So is it just that the signals are actually more distinct than we think? Or is it just really hard to study that kind of subjective feeling?
Probably a bit of both. You might feel generally off and reach for either food or water, but the specific hormones and physiological cues for true hunger, like ghrelin, and true thirst, like blood concentration, they're generally quite different pathways. The research just hasn't found a consistent pattern of confusion that explains significant weight gain across populations. It's more anecdote than proven science, it seems.
Fascinating. Okay, so the direct evidence for these really common theories seems, well, bit shaky or limited. But are there other angles? Maybe indirect ways water helps manage weight? What about exercise? The ideal being, if you're well hydrated, you can exercise better, longer, harder, which means more calories burned. Makes sense, right? Dehydration leads to fatigue, cramps, maybe even heat exhaustion. So better hydration equals better performance equals more weight loss, especially maybe for serious athletes.
You're absolutely right that hydration is crucial for your body to function well, and it definitely impacts exercise performance. No question there. But the source, the Harvard article, paints a more nuanced picture for weight loss specifically.
Yeah.
For most people doing typical workouts, drinking extra water right before exercise probably isn't necessary if you're generally staying hydrated through the day.
Okay.
And, more directly to our point, the article found no studies that specifically looked at whether increased hydration leads to more weight loss because of better exercise.
Ah, I see. So hydration is good for exercise, obviously, but the link to extra weight loss through exercise isn't proven just by drinking more water.
Exactly. Vital for health and performance, yes. But a direct causal link showing more water equals more exercise-related weight loss for the average person. The evidence isn't there.
Okay, now this next one. This feels different. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. It shifts the focus for what we add water to what we remove. The theory of just swapping out high-calorie drinks with water. So instead of that soda or juice, or maybe that beer or glass of wine, you just have water. Seems almost too obvious.
It does seem obvious, but sometimes the obvious things are the most effective. And what's really compelling here is that this theory, it has the strongest indirect evidence supporting water's role in managing weight.
Indirect, okay. How so?
Well, think about it. If you consistently replace drinks packed with sugar or alcohol, we're talking sodas, sweetened teas, many fruit juices, energy drinks, alcohol. If you replace those with water, which has 0 calories, you will see a potentially huge drop in your daily calorie intake.
Yeah, those liquid calories add up so fast.
They really do. A single can of soda might be 150 calories. Swap out just 1 or 2 of those a day for water. You're cutting hundreds of calories without changing your food intake at all. Over time, that consistent deficit, it can absolutely lead to significant long-term weight loss.
That makes total sense. Liquid calories often don't make you feel as full either.
Yeah.
But is there a catch? Like you mentioned with dieting earlier. Is it hard to stick to?
That's exactly the challenge. Just like sticking to any restrictive diet can be tough, maintaining a beverage plan that's pretty much only water can be difficult for a lot of people long term. Habits are strong, cravings for flavor are real. So the science backs up the potential benefit, but the practical application, the sticking with it part, that's the hurdle.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, one last theory to touch on. This one sounds quite physiological. Burning fat requires water. The idea that if you're dehydrated, your body can't properly access and break down fat for energy. So drinking more water could, theoretically, optimize your fat-burning potential.
Mm-hmm. It connects to the idea that water is involved in basically every metabolic process in the body, including lipolysis, which is fat breakdown, and some animal studies do seem to support this connection between hydration and fat metabolism.
But I sense a but coming.
You sense correctly. But according to Dr. Schmerling's review of the evidence, there's no compelling evidence from human studies showing that drinking extra water specifically helps you burn more fat as a way to lose excess weight.
Okay. So water is essential for metabolism generally, but drinking more than you need doesn't seem to supercharge fat burning in humans.
That seems to be the case based on current research. It's another example where findings in animal models don't necessarily translate directly or significantly to humans trying to lose weight.
Right. So after looking at all these different angles, feeling full, burning calories, thirst versus hunger, exercise, swapping drinks, fat burning.
Yeah.
What's the bottom line here? What does this all mean for you listening right now, trying to make sense of it all?
Well, the summary from the Harvard Health article is pretty clear. There is some evidence suggesting water might help with weight loss. For some people, sometimes. But, and it's a big but, these studies are often small or short-term or done on animals. And the benefits they show are usually quite modest, if they show up at all.
So not exactly a magic bullet.
Not at all. Dr. Schmerling basically concludes that, look, there's very little downside to drinking a bit more water if you feel it helps you. You know, maybe it helps you feel full, maybe it replaces a soda. Great. The only real downside is maybe having to pee more often or drinking when you're not really thirsty. But the overarching theory itself that just drinking more water on its own is a powerful weight loss strategy. As he cleverly puts it, that specific theory doesn't hold water under scientific scrutiny.
Right. And that's really the main point of this deep dive for you listening. It's about helping you look critically at common health advice, understanding the nuances, the actual science, or sometimes the lack of it, so you can make better, more informed choices for your own health. It's about becoming a savvy consumer of health info. So to wrap it up, drinking water is crucial for health, absolutely. And yes, swapping high-calorie drinks for water is a proven way to cut calories and potentially lose weight. But the idea that simply drinking more water beyond basic hydration needs and calorie swapping is a major key to weight loss on its own. The strong, long-term scientific evidence just isn't really there in the research.
Exactly. Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to chew on. If this piece of common sense advice doesn't fully hold up under scientific examination, what other widely accepted beliefs about health or wellness might also deserve a closer look? How can we all keep questioning, keep exploring, and look at the world and health advice with a more critical, evidence-based eye?